All right, it's time for another Colts card talk. The Colts just announced that Daniel Jones is going to be the starting quarterback over Anthony Richardson in week 1, and I got to do a rant about it. I don't have the time for a video, but I'm just very frustrated about this decision because I think the Colts are making a mistake. This feels like a move to try and protect job security over franchise longevity. In the short term, maybe Daniel Jones is fine and the Colts win 8 or 9 games and sneak into the playoffs, and maybe you can talk yourself into Steichen and Ballard staying. But for the sake of the franchise, I don't understand why you're not going with Anthony Richardson. I'm frustrated because going to training camp, talking to the beat, it sounds like Richardson's absolutely put in the work. I noticed how much tighter his release is. He seems more willing to, take some underneath throws, and they looked more accurate from everything I've seen. But what you're doing here is limiting the downside for sure, but I think you're also limiting the upside. And in my opinion, why not accept the risks of going terribly, at least from ownership? I can understand why Ballard and Steichen want the Jones, hampering or, the middling of the road. But for Richardson, maybe he's awesome. Maybe this is a, consistent playoff contender with a really exciting quarterback. But even if it's bad, you can reset everything. You can clean house. You can go after another quarterback instead of constantly going for these bridge guys, Jones, Flacco, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers. It just never ends. And it's being a born and raised Hoosier and seeing what the Colts were as a kid with Peyton Manning and all of these legends across the franchise. And I really hate to say this, but, after losing Irsay this offseason, I want better for the Colts. I want to see a team that really wants to go for it instead of being complacent with this middle-of-the-road stuff. And, I can get why Steichen and Ballard want to try and save their jobs and convince people that this is a team that might be okay. But in reality, I just couldn't disagree more for the sake of the franchise over the staff. Take the swing with Richardson. See what you have there. And just stop with this middle-of-the-road stuff. I know Irsay wants better for the franchise. I believe the ownership will make the right decisions going forward after this season, but I just could not disagree more with the move to try and play it safe instead of you're going to be spending the rest of this season figuring out and questioning if Richardson's the guy instead of just for once and for all, throwing him out there and seeing what you have. So I'm just disappointed.